Hey there, Bigger Pockets. Today we're going to talk about a happy day. That is the day that you take the profits from that rental property that you have and you're going to distribute them. Very, very happy times. And we're going to talk about what we do and what I recommend that you guys look into. First of all, you obviously should be receiving all your rents and paying your expenses out of a separate checking account for the LLC that you have. We use limited partnerships between us and our investors and that kind of thing. Even if you own the property in your own name, God forbid, I know you're not supposed to do that. We all know you're not supposed to do that. You know you're not supposed to do that. But just in case you do, have a separate checking account. Do not commingle your tenant's rent into your personal checking account. Everybody knows you shouldn't be doing that, and you shouldn't be doing that either. So anyway, your proceeds from your rental should be sitting over here in a private checking account for your business. When it's time to distribute, I recommend you distribute once a quarter. That's just me. The reason I distribute profits once a quarter is because there's certain expenses that show up once a quarter. In New Jersey, water bills show up once a quarter. So you want to make sure you capture that into your expense snapshot when you look at that quarter. And the big thing that most states show up on a quarterly basis are your real estate taxes. Unless you're lucky enough to have them escrowed, your real estate taxes are coming in a quarterly bill from the local municipality, local county, whoever's charging those to you is most probably sending that bill out on a quarterly basis. So I recommend you do a quarterly distribution because it's a pretty good snapshot of the recurring expenses that show up. That's lesson number one, is do a quarterly distribution. Recommend you don't do anything more frequently than that. So when it comes time to do that distribution, we use an accounting software called Rent Manager. You can also use QuickBooks or Buildium, or some people are using Excel, but whatever it is, you should have some sort of a means to project how much money you made, not just looking in your account to see if the balance is more than it was a quarter ago, right? You got to do a little better than to see how much money, how much rent came in, expenses went out, and what's left, right? It's not that simple though. It's not that's not the end of it. You don't get to just cut a check on that money that's left once the rent comes in and your expenses come out. You need to have some sort of a calculation factor on how much you want to set aside. I recommend that everyone has a savings account for their rental properties as well. In that savings account is where you do your capital expenditures, because you guys are all setting aside money for capital expenditures for things like a roof repair or a furnace dying on you, or God forbid, a tenant moving out, just major capital expenditures that you need to put towards that rental. I'm sure you guys are all saving money and not just putting all the money you make into your pocket, right? So you should figure out a percentage. It depends on the property. For us, it's anywhere between 10 to 20% of that profit gets set aside into a savings account. And then whatever's left there, hopefully it meets somewhere with our budgets. We take that and distribute it. Before I distribute it, as I said, we've got a budget that we take a look at. That I project a budget for my entire year for that property. I look to see what we made. If we made X and our budget says we should have made X, that's great. If the budget says we should have made this, we only made this. It's a point to take a look to see what happened, where did we go over budget, what showed up. It's a point of inspection to make sure that we're properly projecting expenses and making sure we're not going way over what we think we should be paying, or that something that we didn't expect didn't show up. There's the other side of it too. You could come in way under budget and you made more money than you thought. Well, hey, big windfall, let's all pay each other more money, right? Maybe not. Take a look at that too, because maybe there's expenditures that didn't show up that you had projected. Maybe you got really lucky and didn't have any vacancy, even though you thought there was going to be vacancy, something like that. That's a good windfall. That's happy. You may want to save a few extra bucks for the time that those vacancies do show up, if you think that they might. So I wouldn't necessarily, if you come in way under your budgets, I wouldn't necessarily put all those proceeds right into your pocket either. I would probably squirrel a good bit of that into that savings account too. So that's how we process profit draws. Once all that's done and the percentages are applied, then we cut checks to all of our investors. I send them a nice little report about how much, what they're getting. Send them a check in the mail. Everybody's happy. We take our check and we move on along to the next one. So that's how I recommend you guys process profit draws for those rental properties you're working very hard to maintain. If you've got questions, you want to talk about it, any alternative strategy you guys use, or anything else that you want to put out there, please do comment below. I'd love to get a great conversation going on this thing. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I hope you have a great and profitable day.